Well, howdy, and welcome to Conversations with Coyotes. My name is Bravado, I am a coyote, and this is The Conversation. Take a moment to pat yourself on the back for making it all the way to this, the fourth week of 4 weeks of sneaks. I'm so proud of y'all for getting this far. I bet way back at the beginning of June, you never believed this day would come, and yet here we both are. So what could I possibly talk about on this most special of all days? Well, in case y'all haven't noticed, we're still in a pandemic and a good many of us have been working from home for the last few months. As such, not really a strong need to wear shoes. But the shoes don't stop coming just because there ain't nowhere to wear them, so I figured if I'm not gonna go anywhere, at least I can put them in a video. And this is that video. Now, anyone who follows sneakers will know that these, the Pine Green Jordan 1, technically came out at the end of February, which means, with shipping taken into consideration, I still would have had about a week to wear them before the stay-at-home stuff really started up here in Minnesota. However, it's rare for me to break out a new pair of shoes right away, and so even though I didn't buy them during the quarantine, they haven't seen the light of day yet, and as such are eligible for this list. Now that I've adequately justified myself, let's continue. These are actually the second of 2 pairs of Jordan 1s that I got in February. The first were the UNC to Chicago's that came out during All-Star Weekend. You won't ever see those in a video or on my feet for the simple reason that I don't have them anymore. I really had a hard time justifying 2 mostly black Jordan 1s in such a short period of time, and ultimately decided that I preferred the Pine Green, and so I sold the other ones to a good friend. For retail, of course. I'm not a monster. It's hard for me to really explain what I like so much about the Pine Greens. I think the material choices are really interesting, and I like the way they did the Wings logo as a patch instead of being printed on like you see on most other ones. And the tiny hint of red in the logo just really does it for me. There's not any other particular story behind this colorway, it's just another in a never-ending series. I like it, so I bought it, and that's all that really needs to be said. Okay, yes, it's another pair of animal print sneakers. You don't need to read into it. I don't have a big cat obsession. You have a big cat obsession. Anyway, these are the Nike Kyrie 6s in Oracular Aqua. That sounded like word salad, so let me back up. These are the 6th in a series of signature shoes for NBA player Kyrie Irving, point guard for the Brooklyn Nets, and Nike athlete since 2011. Oracular Aqua is the name of the colorway, but more specifically refers to the shade of blue that dominates this shoe. As if that's not eye-catching enough, we got some kitty cat prints on the straps, because of course we do, and a heapin' helpin' of Egyptian-inspired design cues as we've come to expect on a Kyrie shoe. This is another colorway that doesn't really have a big, deep storyline behind it, so instead I'm gonna sidebar for a moment about how the Kyrie-Nike relationship is one of my favorite in the industry right now. It's a prime example of how an athlete can say they like a particular piece of pop culture, and then suddenly it's licensed and you've got Nike shoes that look like SpongeBob or have the Friends logo on them. I never want to see this stop because I get a lot of joy out of these seemingly arbitrary combinations of unrelated things. We've seen examples of this with other athletes, but rarely to this degree, and I am totally here for it. That sort of personality is part of what makes these sorts of partnerships so interesting. Back in the second episode, I was talking about Tinker Hatfield and how he's been responsible for so many iconic Nike shoes. And this is one of them. Sort of. This shoe was born from the Air Max 90, but Nike collaborated with boutique clothing brand Undefeated, and the result is something a little special. At a glance, it doesn't look all that different from a standard Air Max 90, except for some funky colors, but there are a lot of details that set it apart. The biggest is that a normal 90 has a mudguard that goes around the entire shoe, and the swoosh sort of disappears behind it. On this shoe, that mudguard has been integrated into the upper, this weird-shaped blue piece, and so the swoosh is just floating. It looks a little bit strange, but it's certainly unique. They also eliminated the little window above the midsole that says Air Max, so that branding has been moved down to the midsole itself, and they added a pull tab on the heel that you won't find on normal Air Max 90s. But it's the finishes where this shoe really shines. Now I'll admit that I'm a sucker for translucent materials, and this shoe has them in spades. The signature 90 eye stays, the heel unit around the Air Max window and the outsole, and most interestingly, the back panel where you have the Nike Air branding, but the undefeated underneath. Overall, it's just a really great execution. Now this is actually the second pair of these I've owned. I also bought the black pair when they dropped on sneakers because, though I wanted these more, they were due out a week later and launched exclusively at Undefeated, and I wasn't sure whether I'd be able to get them. Obviously I did, and so the black pair went to a new home. There was also a third colorway that was announced, a white one, but they've mysteriously gone unreleased. Back at the end of 2019, I said that the off-white Air Max 90s were some of the nicest ever, and I stand by that, but all the unique touches on these make them a strong runner-up. Now here's a shoe that's kind of an outlier, and that's because it's already 2 years old, or maybe 32, depending on how you like to do math. It's the Jordan 3 in black cement. This is from the re-release that they did in 2018 to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the silhouette, and, fun fact, it dropped on Michael Jordan's birthday. It's hard to overstate the importance of the Jordan 3. It marked a dramatic turning point in the Jordan shoe lineage, and as I've mentioned previously, is credited with helping convince MJ to stick with Nike. It's the first Jordan to feature the Jumpman logo, the first with the now iconic elephant print, and the first with visible air in the heel. But it's not just about the shoes themselves, as context is what makes Jordan special in the eyes of so many. These are what MJ was wearing as he won a myriad of awards in the 1987-88 season, and the first to be part of the ad campaign that featured Spike Lee as Mars Blackman, and all that history is what has elevated them from simply being a cool shoe to one that is practically idolized. It's that success, and that demand, that has led Nike to re-release this particular colorway a whopping 5 times since the 1988 original. In 94, 2001, 2008, 2011, and 2018. Retros are a huge business for Nike and Jordan brand, understandably, but that's a conversation for another time. Now, given the fanaticism around these shoes, it probably won't surprise you to learn that dead stock pairs of 2018s can go for upwards of double the original retail price, and that's why I bought these gently used. They ain't supposed to be a museum piece, and so I'm fine with somebody else taking the hit on depreciation. I'm honestly just happy to have a pair to call my own. And this has been the final sneak of the final week of 4 weeks of sneaks. I want to thank y'all so much for checking this out. It's been a really weird time for me personally, and for us as a community, and as a society. So to be able to put life on pause for a bit and talk about silly, trivial, shallow things is, well, it's just nice. Now I don't usually do this, but I probably should start, so here it goes. If you like this video or the other stuff that I make, I hope you'll consider subscribing if you haven't already, and sharing with your friends if you think they might appreciate it. You can also find me on other social media via the icons on the end screen if you want to see bad jokes and hot takes, and maybe also some art as well. I don't have any concrete plans for upcoming episodes yet, so I'll be back whenever I can, but if there's something that you'd like to hear me talk about, especially if it's furry related, drop me a note in the comments. In the meantime, thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll catch y'all later. Nice.